America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Preble Town Board meeting, May 11th, 2020. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes of April 13th?
Make a motion to accept the minutes for April 13th.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Jane?
Dog control, a resident was bitten by an unlicensed dog running at large. An appearance ticket was issued. And I didn't get any justice report.
Okay, thanks, Jane. Jeff, you want to make any comments on highway?
Sure. Got the report, a few things. Just last week, I did get a call from a resident on East Hill Road, just up by South America Road. And he is concerned, he says there's people speeding. Can you hear me all right? I'm sorry.
Yep.
But he's concerned about people speeding up there and want to know what can be done. I explained to him what needs to be done with come to the board, goes to the county to the state to the engineers make a determination with the layout. And if I miss anything, Don, throw it out there.
You're doing fine.
Okay. Knowing the layout of the road, I said, you're probably not going to get lowered below the speed they're traveling, which is probably in the 40s. So the only thing I told them, there's the curve right there. I said, we can, put up some caution, the curve signs are there. There's no suggested speed for that curve attached to it. I said, that might be an approach to see, what happens there. But, if he feels that it's getting dangerous, whatever, he can come to the board. I just want to let you know that's
Something you can put in there now, or do you need
a
a
caution sign we can do. It's
the
a
recommendation speed?
for the curve. The little sign under the curve in yellow. But anything more than that, obviously, we'd have to go through all the engineering and like that.
So if the town wanted to make a request, we'd have to go through the same channels as far as, the spot I see that's not good is, it turns 55 just before 81 and then the Marabito.
Yeah,
Everybody's always,
Yeah.
so.
right from Curry Road, really. And we tried that, 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
Right after they opened, and that was,
Yeah, they try to jump out in front of the trucks and everything else there, and
yeah,
it's a bad spot.
it's the same process. No matter if it's a state, county, or town road, the
Mhm.
state speed limits on a town of under 50,000 people has to have an engineering study done.
Okay.
The state does it for nothing. But after 20 years, you kind of look at the ones that have gone, and very few of them have actually gone through.
Okay.
So it's,
So you guys tried it and they turned you down?
Well, they tried it right here on Preble Road, right?
Yeah.
Tried to do it here. And,
Yeah, we tried, they actually shortened it. Where does it start, by the cemetery, I believe? somewhere
Just
in there.
past the cemetery, yeah.
they did put the speed limit ahead signs out, I don't know what it's been now, 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
And so now it starts at the first sign versus at the,
Right.
you gain some.
Yeah.
Technically heading south, you could go through the intersection at 55, and the next sign was 45 by Hanks down there,
Mhm.
and then it was right 55 again. There's only like a few hundred yards that actually qualified.
Yeah.
So that took care of that by getting them to put in the speed limit ahead signs. But as a rule, and sadly, what it takes is a accident or fatality or something.
Mhm.
That's the way and the catch is, even the town board, any 50,000 or more, which we're nowhere close, obviously, but what's ironic is that they've tried to get the state law changed so a town board could make that determination. But still, and this is what I've been told anyways, Don, is you still have to have an engineering study. Now you're paying an engineer versus getting the state to do it.
Mhm.
And the town could at that time say, oh, we're lowering it to this no matter what the engineer says. But now you write a ticket, you're gonna fight it, because if the guy knows that it wasn't done legally, then you're not in a good situation, so. I don't know, it's just a little deeper, but yeah, that's what happened there, man.
Okay.
So I'm keeping an eye on that. I'm gonna put up some signs. I just haven't decided. I gotta get some measurements on the radius of the curve and see what they recommend. The other thing, last month, we were under the impression that the Pellmeyer auction was actually, which is a live auction, was gonna be canceled. So what they did, it's an online auction. So we did clean that 2015 truck up. It's out there. It goes off at a little after 6 o'clock tomorrow night. I just checked before I came down here. It's at 15 and change right now. I'm looking in the mid-20s. I put 26 as a hold, but I don't think, and Dave or anybody else want to chime in, but with this economy the way it is, we don't know what this is going to bring.
Right.
So I don't want to miss out on a good opportunity if we're going to be, carrying something that might not bring as good, a month from now. This economy turns real sour. So keeping an eye on that, but it jumped up like $3,500 just this afternoon. And it's got another 24
When does the
hours.
auction end, Jeff?
Pardon me?
When does the auction end?
Like 20 after 6 tomorrow night. So it's
24 hours?
Yeah.
Okay.
And by putting that reserve on it, we do have that ability to hold it or decide it's good enough to go. So
Anything on the mower yet, or you didn't?
oh yeah, $1,050. We're money ahead.
Yeah, good.
We only paid $1,800 for it. It's either 4 or 5 years ago. So yeah, that's
Good.
And I won't mention the steering in it. Anyways, the other thing that's been popping up, of course, is the town cleanup. And after today's governor's report, I don't know. I just don't, and I'll leave that up to the board. I'm all for going, but I just don't know. Don, any thoughts that if we don't get our Pause New York lifted by then, where we would stand with something like that?
As far as your,
Town cleanup,
June 5th and 6th,
yeah.
amnesty days.
I know Homer had theirs this past weekend, and it was slow going, but some people were, you talk to everybody, you're gonna get a zillion different answers, but some people liked it, and some people said way too slow because of the distancing, so.
I don't know. Where do we
as
stand?
far as the legality of it, well, we're only supposed to be doing essential work, right?
That's my point. I don't think that we should be setting a bad example. Is my thought, but I just assume personally get it done, because then we're holding off bringing in our summer stockpiles and things, which will go there. Normally we'd be bringing it in this
Right.
right
Well,
after.
The other
So-
side of that too is you said you're, right-hand man there, you're getting tires up on the hills now like you
Yeah.
never had before.
That's just kind of quirk at this time, I hope, because if it's part of that, I don't know. But we have picked up like 26 tires so far this spring, and I'm seriously thinking about getting some game cameras and a couple of hot spots to see if we could catch somebody, because this is, they cost us to get rid of it, plus the time you go out and get them picked up. And if you don't pick them up right away, they multiply overnight. Everybody likes to collect them. So we try to pick stuff up as soon as we can. But,
Well, so you said Homer already had a,
Yeah, this past week.
yeah. If they had it and it went off without, any reprimand from the governor or anything, I think we could keep it on the schedule and
See what the 15,
it's still how many weeks away?
When's it scheduled for, Jeff?
first Friday and Saturday, and
In June?
Yeah.
so 5th and 6th.
And certainly you could keep it on and see, you can always
cancel.
Always
cancel
cancel.
at the last minute. but-
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's
So
just-
I would say let's move forward with it. It's an outdoor event, nobody's gonna be, huddled together. It's kind of like drop your stuff off and go.
posted as such, and
I would certainly say, and I know it may sound like a bit overkill, but have some kind of set procedure in place. You know, as far as to ensure distancing, because, you know, someone gets sick,
Mhm.
That's,
okay,
Well-
they're gonna be in the trace, everything's gonna be traced now. So,
And I guess the downside, if we did have it, I mean, they're really good about helping people, and now that, you know, you aren't gonna be able to be
Yeah.
2 feet to help
Yeah.
somebody unload
Right.
the trailer. And you get some of these older people, or
well,
even
if they
people
pull
my
up with us
age,
in the
you know,
back of a
that
pickup
want
or
a little
something,
help.
you guys are doing it, but still, you guys are supposed to have distancing too, right?
Right. I mean, with each other, we try to not be on top of each other, and still, pretty much everybody has the one vehicle, and if we do swap, the biggest headache's the loader. We keep stuff right in it, wipe it down, and what have you, and so, the Virgil transfer station, they run a trash transfer station in Virgil.
Mm-hmm.
They had a person that showed up there week and a half ago that tested positive later,
Hmm.
and then had to go back and retrace. And so 7 people from the town of Virgil Highway Department got tested. That's why I'm bringing this up, which is,
Yeah.
if
That's
nothing
right,
else,
so if someone drops stuff off and you don't get any, you know, they're in the truck and you're taking it off the back of their truck, and they come up positive later, you're gonna be part of the tracing,
Yeah, and everybody that came into contact with you.
potentially, yeah.
so, but anyways.
It might be a good thing to table it for a month, you know,
So I'd say.
or
let's
wait and
how-
see what the 15th of this month brings, you know.
And the only other thing too is everybody should have a copy of the 284U agreement. That's just as a refresher, it's kind of an overall sketch of the anticipated work for the year, and it shows the different funds that were approved in last year's budget for the work. It's basically an agreement between the town board and what you see that, you know, and that's up to change. And traditionally, you do that right after the first of the year, but it's really hard to tell what roads you need to work on when they're covered with snow. So it's something I've tried to do, you know, April and May before we get into it. This year, of course, we were plowing snow Saturday morning. Not much, but we were. And that explains that. On the back side, there's, now let me stay with the front side, there's a figure with like a number, hashtag, a hash after it. And the footnote to that is that number can change. Of course, town is a revenue driven, you know, tax revenue, sales tax. So the webinar I was on probably close to 3 weeks ago out of Albany, they're talking for just rough estimates out of the gate, plan on 15 to 20%. And it's a moving target, we all know that. So that's why I put that in there. And then on the back side is the anticipated equipment purchases, replacement. Of course, last year we replaced the 1 ton with that 4500 Dodge, so that's removed. I'm still looking for good mower tractor. Ours is running good, but right now, it's got a lot of welds. It's 1991, and it's tired. And and the other thing I'll bring up while we're looking at that is CAT. We're on a 2-year rotation with the loader. This October would be our normal 2-year roll. And it basically boils down to the price difference between the trade-in. We own it. It's not a lease. The trade-in and what the new state bid is on it, and $10 an hour. So it's right around $18,000 every 2 years, $8,000-9,000 a year. You know, you can't rent one for 2 months for that. And the other thing it does, it gets you under warranty. CAT has right now a bunch of 19s left over. 17 last I heard. They will put a 2-year warranty on that. Normally it's a 1 we can go at any time at this point. I don't think that, the only number I don't have is the new numbers for the 20s. They'd be starting at 0 hours again with a 2-year warranty. Right now, our machine warranty runs out in a couple months.
So you
I
want to do it before that.
And I can't fix it. I don't think, you know what I mean? This new stuff, if you don't have the computer to plug into it,
Mhm.
it's amazing. Adjusting the brakes on it, you do from the computer now, crazy. So, that's something I'm, wanted to talk to you about. I really, I gotta look down and, see where we're at with the budget. I think it's something we can do with and staying with that, 15, 18%. I plan on cutting, because of our revenue. I'm cognizant of that. The CHIPS money, normally by 2 weeks ago, we would have gotten a letter from Albany saying this is what you're getting. That letter has not come yet. Our lobbyist in Albany, his feeling, of course, this is new uncharted territory, is that if the letter hasn't come yet, it's in the state budget. But if they were to give it for the first quarter, then it would not be fair only to give the towns that same amount across all that full year. So if they're gonna cut it, they need to cut it quick, if that makes sense. That's part of it. The other thing is CHIPS, unlike most things like education and Medicare and all that, is bonded, so they don't gain much money up front. You would think it's a 10-year bond, it's 10%, but it's actually closer to 18 to 20% that they would gain. But just because of the way bonds work, but they're not. So if they cut $400 million CHIPS program, even if they cut it totally out, they're only going to save less than 100 million. And plus that 400 million won't get done. The roads, and I think we all agree there.
Right.
So it's maybe one good time to be a bonded program as opposed to cash, because they're not going to gain much by cutting you down. So a lot of moving targets right now. I think that's it. Any other questions, guys?
Thanks, Jeff.
So you probably then need a resolution, Jim, to
For the 284,
authorize, for this agreement.
the 284 agreement?
Yeah.
We need to make a resolution for accepting the 284 agreement and signing it. Anybody want to make that resolution?
I'll move it. We accept the 284 U agreement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried?
And Jane
I have
has
a paper here for everybody to
the
sign.
original one.
Okay.
Oh, I thought we were,
We thought everybody sent the original.
I thought we were, okay. So let's move forward here. We have nobody from Recreation or County Legislature. James?
Zoning and code, one building permit issue, 65 miles travel, 2 building inspections, 7 hours work, 1 fire inspection, 9 complete follow-ups, 12 telephone inquiries, planning board meeting, May 28th, ZBA meeting, June 4th.
Thanks, Jane. Historian isn't here today. Jane?
We collected $2,165.69, dispersed $2,147.69 to the town of Preble, and $18 to New York State Haven Markets. And the tax collector, we collected taxes to date, $1,751,027.66.
Thanks, Jane. Unfinished business from last month. We've got the post office lease. Don, could you make a comment on that?
Yep, I did reach out to the representative today, both by phone and email. I did not get a response. And the lease went out with the necessary attachments on April 15, so, they've had it, but it's not that long.
Right.
And as you pointed out, this is with regard to the lease. The renewal would not be effective till the fall of 2021.
Right. So they'll get back to us at some point to
That's
confirm.
That's correct.
Okay. Thanks, Don. Yeah, okay, Memorial Day Parade, obviously canceled. There's a lot of moving parts to that parade, and none of them are really working right now. So this will be probably the first year in our history that we have not had a Memorial Day Parade and ceremony. But there's a lot of firsts going on this year, so this is one of them. Yard sale, the yard sale, Donna Wheelock wants to do it on, I think, the 5th and 6th also of, no, on Saturday, the 6th, she wants to do it, of June. So the yard sale would be going on at the same time that the junk operation would be going on.
Kind of
So.
poetic, isn't it?
Yeah, ship it
A lot of that
after.
stuff is, yeah, you find it on one or the other.
So she called me today and she just wants confirmation from me that that it's still a go as of right now. We know that anything can happen at any time and we may have to cancel everything, but I think as of right now, we could say that I know big yard sales are being postponed till the fall. Big neighborhood sales already have advertised that. She wants to do it on the 6th of June, so I said I'd get back to her after we discuss it. I think if we do the junk day, I don't see any reason why we couldn't do a yard sale either.
Who actually runs a yard sale, Jim?
Donna Wheelock runs it.
Okay, and it's for what purpose?
Well, the town of Preble, we pay for the advertising on it. And the yard sale is a community yard sale where people have individual tables at their homes or driveways, and people from outside the community mostly come in and, you know.
So it's not our event per se, or is?
Well, it's sort of a quasi town event. So I would say it is our event. So any comments on this at all?
Well, I think if a person wants to have a yard sale, they're putting themselves at risk by having other people coming to them, from, like you said, from other communities.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and then now that we have our name attached to it, I don't know if it's much different than the parade or different than that.
Well, it's definitely different from the parade.
Well, it's not a lot different because you still have your families in their yards, in their areas. and things. I know you have, because you could space people out if you wanted to do it, or you could have abbreviated parade. You could do it with one fire truck and still call it a parade. I mean, there's lots of different things you can do. It doesn't have to be a full blown out parade,
Mhm.
I think they're all pretty similar, to be honest with you. I mean, you can say agree or disagree or whatever, but it's open for discussion.
Yeah, I'd say the parade and the amnesty days are more
High risk.
Preble people. And the yard sale would bring all sorts of other people in as your highest risk.
Okay.
Now, what if I told Donna that this would be breaking rank from a history, our history of being involved in it. If we could say we don't want, we're not going to fund it, we're not going to pay for the advertising. That if you want to do a yard sale yourself, you're certainly free to do whatever you want. And she would have to put her own ad in and pay for it.
And then would it still be called Preble Community Sales?
Well, it's not
Yeah.
it's not the town of Preble yard sale. It's a Preble community yard sale, but it would be run by and sponsored by an individual person. So that might be the way.
It would
to
keep
answer
the
this.
liability of the town.
And if we go on the record in this meeting saying that we are not endorsing the Preble yard sale this year, she can do whatever she wants after that.
Yeah, you couldn't stop her.
Right. Would you think that's reasonable, Don?
I think that's get you maybe us over in the right side of the,
safer column.
The greater area.
the calculations maybe.
Mhm.
You hate to be a wet blanket on everything, I know,
Right.
but, I think Mike makes a point, we seem to be okay in this community, right?
It only
Of course,
takes
that
one
can
incident though.
Can change tomorrow, but,
Yeah,
other people coming in,
yeah.
Syracuse has a much higher incidence,
Mhm.
who knows?
Yeah.
So obviously, strictly from the town standpoint, taking that kind of position would probably be the best.
Okay.
How many people did we have? You have a sign up list, for the amnesty?
How
100
many?
people?
Well,
Yeah.
that's a moving target, number one, because I can't remember how many we had last year. But
50?
traditionally, we always sign in each load, so we go by the loads, and you might have somebody that brings 5 or 7 loads, and you might have just a person that brings in a old vacuum cleaner, and that's a load too. So, probably I'm gonna say in the 60 to 80 people range if I had to sit down and look at each one on the list. Last year we didn't do the list because it was pouring rain half the time and that doesn't work well.
Mm.
And it just got undoable. So between the three of us, we know who's in town anyway. That's the biggest thing is to make sure it's town people because years past I caught some people and said, no, you need to take it elsewhere and I will be looking for it on the side of the road too.
So you and your guys would be exposed to possibly 60 people, 60 families, or 60 whatever.
People, yeah. And the other catch that we did for years was, anybody under 18 stays in the vehicle just from the liability or somebody climbing on a pile or getting hit in the head with a cord with a nail in it, or there's a certain, knock on wood, in 20 years we haven't had anybody get hurt, but that's out there. And our biggest thing is the person standing by that normally signs them in and hold them back until somebody can clear. Don't want to just go wedging in there and get backed over and all that. That's a real secret to me, is just only letting a couple at each area at a time, so you're not, and that goes before COVID. It's just people get nuts when they start throwing stuff on a pile. They seem to want to see how far they can throw it or whatever. So yeah, so we'll see. But
Okay. So why don't we make a resolution that the town of Preble will not sponsor the yard sale for the year 2020? Anybody want to make that resolution?
Make a resolution to no sponsor in 2020.
The yard sale, the
Yard
annual yard sale, yeah. Okay, so you need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Hey,
Carried? Okay. Amnesty Days, we've been talking about that. That's, as we sum this up, we'll keep it on the calendar, and unless we, this is a gray area we're dealing in now. We're coming out of this and we're trying to open up, but there are a lot of gray areas. So we'll keep it on the calendar unless otherwise. So new business, we have a junk problem on Steger Road, 6792. We have an investor who bought a property who kind of went bust in the middle of renovation, and now he doesn't want to pick up his junk. So Rick Fritz is dealing with him, and Rick asked Don, and well, I asked Don also to send a letter to his house and just to alert him of the situation, that we are serious about this. Don, can you comment on that letter that you sent?
Yes, it went out just last Friday, and this fella doesn't live in the town, and I think it's a property that he purchased at a tax sale. The fella's name's John Sierra, and the address we have for him is on Route 13 in Cortland. So we sent him a letter. It wasn't threatening. We can certainly circulate it. I did advise him that, this is formal notification to, that he needs to clean up the property. We feel that it's in violation of the state maintenance code as well as our local zoning ordinance, which has a junk prohibition provision in it. I invited him to contact our code officer to clean it up. As part of his cleanup, he could work with Rick. And I did indicate that if we didn't see substantial improvement, that the board would consider taking further action.
He
So,
owns property in Hemmer too.
does he?
Yeah, 3 pieces of property.
Huh.
Yeah, rentals.
So, Jim and I were talking about it, and if the fella has decided that you're gonna let it go back to tax sale, then you're probably not gonna see much reaction from him. I'll let the county sell it, and someone else can deal with it. But he's the owner till something like that happens, and hopefully we get some kind of response from this guy, yes or no on it. And then, if we don't have any, then it'll be coming back to you next month, and you can decide what, if anything, you want to do at that point.
Okay, thanks, Don.
Yep.
Monies received from Northeast Transformers, $1,771.89, and from USPS, $741.92. There's no public comment tonight because there's no public here.
Jim, can I just throw
Yes,
something out?
go ahead.
Sitting on it for this is, and back to the, everybody's worried about COVID-19 and everything, but I think it's easy to lose the sight of mental health in our community. And I think part of that is, trying to have some semblance of normal, okay? And I see you canceled the Memorial Day parade, and I just think that be something that, maybe a little bit of thinking outside the box, we could have some semblance of a safe. I mean, you see them all over for these kids graduating to birthday parties that are drive-bys, that were never a parade. And here's a parade that's been going on since I don't know when. We'd have to ask Jay or Ann. And I think it'd be good to, the fire department can have one person in a truck. And Don, do you have any comment on that, or?
Well, it's all about liability. And, if you could do something where everyone's in their own car, which is what I'm thinking as you're talking about that, right? We've all seen it on TV, I guess, where the teachers have all been they're all driving by in their own car. Okay, so if I'm driving by in my car, what's the risk, right? So I guess that would reduce the risk. People could stand on their lawn, I suppose.
Looks like it's built a lot of morale.
But a parade is designed to bring people together. And frankly, if you read about the Spanish flu, that's exactly how it was spread in Philadelphia and I think other cities. They had these parades, and next thing you know, half the town is sick. So, I mean, you really want to. Again, I don't mean to be the wet blanket. You're trying to think outside the box, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think if you're going to do something like that, you really need to think it through. How you're going to do it? You're going to encourage people just to stay in their own lawn area. You're not going to promote anything other than that, for example. And then you always end up at the cemetery, right? So are you going to
Always have had. I mean, you're
you're going to have
could not
people
do
gathered
that.
there. So I'm not saying don't do it or it has to be done this way, but I think if you are going to do something, I think you really need to think it through and, try and make it a fun event or whatever in some way, but.
Well, the other thing is that the parade, similar to the yard sale, it brings people from out of town into Preble. People who have roots in Preble that don't live here anymore, they come back to Preble for this parade. And one of the directives that Governor Cuomo laid out was that he did not want to see events that would bring people from outside the area into an area. And that was very specific. So, and then we have schools, you know, we have the band involved and the schools are not in session anymore. I know Jeff, you don't agree with me. I know Dave, you don't agree with me.
No, I don't agree with you.
Right, and that's
I think
okay.
there's-
That's okay, but I think for what it takes to do something and for the liability of bringing people in, I think it's better if we just don't do a parade this year.
I mean, I think you could abbreviate it, you know, I think you could, obviously, you're not gonna have a band. I mean,
Right.
that's without being
Right.
said, that you wouldn't be able to. You could have,
What if you didn't call it a parade? What if you just had, the fire department just drive a truck through and blow the horn? And people that live right here, you didn't advertise it, so you wouldn't have any outside influences. And, you just had the fire truck go down through and, maybe a car or two or
a
something.
board member, if they wanna do it in their own
Board
car,
member,
fine,
and
if they
just
don't, fine.
Have any kids or people that wanted to come out and wave, and that's it.
Well,
But you couldn't call it a parade. But
yeah, I mean, who's going to be hanging on their porch waiting for this one truck to come by? And, you know, I just don't,
Yeah,
if you're not gonna do a full event, I just don't see the effectiveness
Yeah.
of doing it. You know, that's just, and then I listen to the governor every day to try to get a feel on
That's
this
toxic,
great
Jim.
area that we're in. And I try to apply the principles to these events that we have here. And I don't see how a parade and the ceremony is really congruent with what's going on at this time. I mean, there's huge events in the nation that have been totally canceled because of this environment that we're in. And for Preble to say, well, we still need to do our parade, you know, or we need to do a semblance of our parade or an example of our parade, I just think that's, I think it's just trying to do more than what we should really be doing. It's, so in my opinion, I say we should skip the parade this year. We'll do it next year.
Do they at the ceremony, they don't have like a 3-gun salute or whatever at the end of it? I mean, it's really about, you know, could you even have something at the, you know, like at noon on that day on your website posted or whatever that they're gonna,
The
you
color
know,
guard.
everyone just takes a moment and you hear, you know, I'm gonna say the 21-gun salute, but you hear some salute by military, 3 military people or whatever at the cemetery. They fire their guns in honor of or something like that.
Yeah,
you
we
know,
have
just
color
to
guard.
have a moment.
We have color guard from Tully that has to get together, and they have to come here. I don't know whether Tully's doing their parade or not. I don't think they would be, but you know, the other thing is getting people who we depend on to come to perform a duty or a job, and none of these people want to do this. I've been trying to line up a speaker, and nobody wants to commit to.
what
anything.
about a Labor Day parade? If all the conditions from the governor and our restrictions are lifted and we can assemble. And so we would be a month before that to make a decision if have it a Labor Day in September instead of a May.
Well, then you'd be celebrating labor.
thing.
You'd be celebrating labor. You wouldn't be celebrating Memorial Day. It's,
Well, no, it'd be like a
Or for
Could
that
jump
matter, it
both
could be
of them.
the 4th of July or something.
Memorial
Jim, I
Labor.
like the way you think outside the box, Mr. Harris. That's what I'm looking for, is somebody that can think outside the box. Because what happens is, as soon as you don't have that parade, you'll never have it again. It's hard to get everything to make the wheels turning again. Okay, this is the thing, okay? And I'm 35-year member of this fire department, active all 35. And I've had a lot of crap happen in 35 years, and a lot of it nobody even want to talk about. But my point is, okay, when the turbulent times are turbulent, any cream can rise to the top anytime. Okay, using a little dairy here, but when the waters are calm, but when the waters are tough, it's hard to get the cream to separate. And that's all I'm looking for is some semblance of an attempt that doesn't get into the governor's face, okay, but does something in spirit. Because what you're seeing now, okay, and it's in Arkansas and it's everywhere else, you're seeing people getting a little bit cranky from being inside for the last few months. And I think it shows good faith on the town to think outside the box and to put something together that can meet the qualifications, but also show some leadership and some ingenuity, okay? And I think that's where you can set yourself apart and look back a year from now and say, yeah, we did something that everybody will remember for a long time, not we canceled it, okay? That's taking the high road and taking a bad event and making something good out of it. There, you can go on with your meeting, but I've said what I needed to say.
That's fine. We can do a parade next year. There's nothing wrong with picking it up next year and doing it. There's a lot of moving parts to this parade. A lot of people have to come in from different places to do jobs. None of them are gonna show up. So if the fire department wants to run a truck through the town and blow their horn, they can do that. We're not gonna have a parade. We're not gonna have people coming here from all different places and marching and having a ceremony at the cemetery and having ice cream afterwards. It's just,
Well, I think you're missing what Jeff was saying.
I know what Jeff is saying. Jeff is saying to do an abbreviated event of some sort. And I said, if the fire department wants to run a truck down the streets of Preble, that's fine. They can blow their horn and do it.
At this very instant, at 7 o'clock, the fire districts in New York, they're having a legal question and answer session. I came here instead. It's on tape. I'm gonna look back through it. I know this question's gonna be thrown out and floated out there. So as long as I don't get a nay from here and a nay from the fire department's lawyer, I'm gonna look into what is legal, what the fire districts in New York State says is appropriate. If they say don't do it, that's fine. But I honestly believe, okay, these are the times that you look back on and you step up to the plate. That's my personal opinion. I'll leave it at that.
Well, the fire department can certainly run your truck, right? You can certainly run your equipment. You can do that. All right, if you decide, if the town board says no parade, that doesn't mean you can't, right? The fire department or the fire district can't run their, and blow the horn and, make kids happy or whatever that are out in their front yard. I'm not saying you can't do that, but the question is, does the town have a parade? And you guys are all entitled to your opinions. And I can't sit here and say it's illegal to do it. I really want to look into it, and maybe you'll get an answer in that piece that you're referring to. But, and I understand what you're saying too, Jeff. I deal with it day to day in my office, and it's like, how far do you go? You can drive yourself nuts over all this, but if someone gets sick, that's the problem.
I would agree with Jim that maybe Memorial Day might be too early. Be 15 days after he lets people start going back. We try to figure out something else that works another time during the year. 4th of July, Labor Day.
Dave, any comments from you?
Maybe I'll just have see what the fire department's doing, wait a week to have a special quick meeting to make a decision on that, see if you can get people that want to speak, even if the color guard, they're all older fellows, they might not want to be bothered with it, be scared that you don't know what's going to go on.
Right.
Like you say, it does bring a lot of people from in out of towns, and, I grew up here, there's a lot of old people here, you know, and they, like I say, wait till, you know, a week and a half before the parade. Have a quick special meeting here, you know, real quick one, I guess. Just to discuss the parade, yay, nay, whatever, you know, and like see if the fire department finds out and go from there.
I'm not against it. Just say, okay, at 10 o'clock, you have the WXHC or somebody announce, hey, there's gonna be a parade in half an hour in Preble or something, and just kind of let people know about it. Anybody's more than a half hour away or whatever, it's not like you're gonna make a day out of it. That's how I say it. I think
A
it's
parade in
time to-
half an hour?
What's that?
Is that what I heard? A parade in half an hour?
No?
What did you say, Jeff?
Well, the parade would be planned but not announced until a half hour before it
Put it on,
goes out.
flash it out on Facebook or whatever,
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
that's from somebody that wasn't born and raised here, Jim.
You cannot advertise a parade half an hour before you're gonna put it on.
You didn't- Okay,
It's ridiculous, Jeff, in my personal opinion.
okay.
This takes a lot of planning. There's a lot of moving parts to this parade. There's a
Jim,
lot
I
of
said
people.
trucks driving up the street, okay? I said
Right.
trucks driving up the street.
Abbreviated.
I don't have to have.
We can
I've been called a lot of things in public, Jim, but I've never been called being something that was ridiculous. So thank you very much
Jeff.
after 35 years of dedication of this town.
Jeff. All right. Any other comments, questions? Okay, we
I
need
was
a,
gonna get together on Dave's idea.
okay. We need a motion to pay the general fund vouchers. What's that?
Pick a date or, I mean.
What, for what, Dave?
Like Dave said, meet a week before and
We
see
can
what,
have, I mean, like I said, you gotta see if you,
see what restrictions have been lifted and
well,
that's what.
if the color guard, if those guys want, you know, they're all older guys, like I said. You know, I mean, like, I agree with it, you know, my old man rolling his grave, if I was, you know, he knew I was saying, that's what I mean. How can you really, you know, a blue grade parade, you said, fire truck up there, not gonna have no kids.
No kids.
There's not gonna be anything,
No old
Just the
cars,
fire
no
truck.
tractors, none of that. Wouldn't need any of that.
just a fire truck, go up, turn the corner, go to the cemetery, blow the horn, come back.
If you get the color guard, shoot their.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, but that's all it means, just fire truck.
Yeah, boom, done.
That's fine. A fire truck can do that? Certainly a fire truck can do that. It's, yeah, whoever wants to be a part of that can be a part of it. So we have to advertise a special meeting, right? We're gonna have a special meeting for this. Do we need a special meeting for this?
I don't know if it's really a meeting, you know, you just,
Can,
They do it on email.
you know, the fire truck can do it anyway.
Yeah.
We don't need a meeting. The fire truck, somebody can take the fire truck up and run it up and down and go to the cemetery and blow their horn. And they can put it on Facebook, saying this is what we're gonna do. And anybody who wants to be a part of it can be a part of it. I don't know what else we can do.
you know, you need one person gets sick and no one else.
I don't think anyone's gonna be going out on their lawns watching the fire truck go by, but, you know, if it makes certain people happy to run a fire truck up and down the road, they can do it. They don't need our permission to do that. So,
I mean, and it's all gonna be weather related anyways. You're gonna have people, if it's nice, they'll be having picnics out there because
Yeah.
it's a long weekend to begin
Yeah.
with. And if it's rainy, they're gonna be inside.
right. We don't need a special meeting to do that. We can just do it.
Or they can just do it. Not-
They-
You're saying.
Right,
they
the
can-
fire department can do that.
So if he finds out legally if the fire department can do it, that's what he was saying, he was gonna get,
I don't think there's any legal issue about it.
I don't know.
The fire
about that.
truck can go out and do whatever they want to do. The fire department can do that. So as far as I'm concerned, the fire department can go out and schedule at noon or whatever to run the truck and go to the cemetery, and blow the horn. That might, that would be a good thing. I agree. But like I was saying before, to bring the color guard in, to bring a school band in, to bring a guest speaker in,
Yeah. that's
to
a lot.
bring,
Well, that wouldn't happen.
Right.
That wouldn't happen. I mean, the schools aren't even
Right,
doing
right,
that.
right.
That wouldn't even happen.
to bring a
begin with.
clergy person in to give a prayer. I mean, all of that, it all takes time to set all that up. And, that's just not, that all is not going to happen. So a fire truck is fine.
I mean, we probably had more people at the food bank last month than we did that would be doing the parade. We gave away 140 meals.
Mm-hmm.
And as people stayed in their cars and they were handed their meals.
Mm-hmm.
So,
All right, so do we agree that the fire truck can fill in for that role?
Well, what we're saying is, we don't have control over the fire truck.
Right,
Mhm.
right. That we're not
You're
sponsoring
not
it.
sponsoring it.
Right, we're not sponsoring. So for the record, we are not sponsoring the parade this year. But the fire department can certainly do whatever they want to do.
Yep.
And, it's really on the fire department to do what they want to do. But the town of Preble is not sponsoring a parade and a ceremony this year. Okay, do we need any kind of resolution on any of this, Don?
No, not unless I think you need one to approve something. You're not taking any action, so there's nothing.
Right.
well, the only action we're taking is we're not having a parade.
Right,
It's,
but it's not like it's, in effect, when you have the parade every year, you don't have a formal motion,
Mm-hmm.
but it's action on the part of the town. And, I mean, you could have a resolution, but I don't think you need one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's been discussed, and, I mean, if someone wants to make a motion, they certainly can.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anybody want to make a motion to this effect?
not me.
Okay, so Town of Preble will not sponsor a parade in this year. And we'll leave it to the fire department to do what they wish to do. I guess that sums it up. We need a motion to pay the general fund vouchers, abstract number 5, number 887 to 103, totaling $3,738.76.
Make a motion to pay the general fund vouchers, abstracts number 5, numbers 87 to 103, totaling $3,738.76.
I'll second it.
I
All in favor?
I,
Good. Passed.
make a motion to pay the highway fund vouchers, abstract number 5, numbers 40 through to 49, totaling $5,998.02.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Need a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
I second it.
All in favor?
I.
Carried.
I had this mask on long enough. 8 hours of work and no error. Still don't know what's going on there. We're bringing people back and like putting people on furlough same time.
Yeah, that's all.
On furlough, to bring it back and then roll it
They're
out.
bringing back a custodian or maintenance guy Monday. And today they put out 5 more probation people
On furlough.
on furlough.
So all people being good now in the county or what?
Oh, yeah. All go for great dirty tickets.
Put them in jail, so.
Oh. Really.
Alrighty,